Hello, so you've reached Deborah of Deborah Kane Art, and this is a little video to support one of my courses that you can find on my website www.deborahkaneart.com. This little video tells you all about the meaning of lines. So let's turn you down onto here so you can see what I'm talking about. And I'm going to explain how a line works. So in the course notes, you'll see that we talk about how we start out with a line. So we live in a lines-based culture, and we're all taught that the meaning of lines is that something you follow. And, you know, depending on your cultural background, we could have an argument about whether your eye is following that line from left to right or right to left. But I could also put a little arrow on that line, and we know that we definitely, if I did that, you know, definitely we'd all be looking from left to right on that. And that holds true, you know, from the moment a child is born, we pop a crayon in its hand and we're teaching it to use lines to represent things, and we're teaching it to follow that line with the eye. So we could wiggle that line and you would still be following it, and we could bring that line back upon itself somehow like that and you would still be following it. And the point about this demonstration is that that line does not become a thing until the line is closed. So say, for example, let's give you a curve like that. If we were to then create that curve and finish it, that suddenly then becomes a disc, doesn't it? And even on the splatty one, I'll try and make something that's relatively simple, similar to it. Even on the splatty type picture, and we can do a bigger type of splat here, just to make it really clear for you. Until you close that line does not become a splat. And this is a piece of drawing theory that goes back quite a long way, and you will probably, you will have encountered it before or you won't. But if you're working digitally, it suddenly becomes more important than ever, doesn't it? Because a closed shape, your digital program will recognize a closed shape and it will fill that closed shape for you, and an open shape it won't recognize. So this is a piece of drawing theory that is really important, regardless of what type of drawing you're doing. And we can go further with this piece of theory with the mushroom experiment. So I'm going to do the mushroom experiment for you now. So let's turn you down. We'll turn the piece of paper over so we don't waste paper. This is, again, about open lines and closed lines. And I can draw the mushroom for you here. If I draw a mushroom like this with a very slightly open line, and this is obviously the worst drawing of a mushroom, but it does take less than a minute. There's a drawing of a mushroom with an open line, and there's a drawing of a mushroom with a closed line. Usually in a class, I ask people, you know, to vote which of the mushroom drawings they prefer. And that's another drawing of the mushroom. So there we go, got the mushroom. And at this point, I might ask you, which of these drawings do you prefer? And the class at this point will still be split. So there will be about 1 in 5 people will actually still prefer the mushroom drawing where the line hasn't been fully closed. But I can do you another drawing here. Oh, sorry, I did that roundy bit slightly differently. So I'm drawing the mushroom again now. And this is exactly the same drawing as the previous 2 drawings. I've got closed lines, so I've followed my rules. But what do we think? Is it still a mushroom? It's not a mushroom anymore, is it? It could be a wheel. It could be an orange. It could be a whole number of other things. And that's because your mind is reading these. Let me get a red pen to just make it clear as we're making a video. Your mind is reading, oh, that's a blue pen, sorry. One should get much better prepared when one is creating videos for YouTube. Here is a closed shape here, isn't it? And your mind is reading these closed shapes. So this is a piece of drawing theory that is saying that there is a catalogue of closed shapes in your mind. And when you encounter a drawing, you very, very quickly compute which the closed shapes are, and you compare those closed shapes to a library in your mind of shapes that are that already exist. And so on this one here, your mind will go into the computer program and it'll say, oh, it's a round shape. What other evidence do I have? What can I compare this to that tells us what type of round shape this is? Is it an orange? Is it an apple? Is it a tennis ball? And it's the filling, it's the discontinuous lines inside that tell us what type of round shape that is, whether it's an orange. Let me, I'll draw you up here. I hope you'll still be able to see that on the video. Very badly drawn round shape. But if I fill that shape with a different sort of pattern, there you go. That's no longer, it's absolutely undeniably no longer a mushroom, is it? It's got the same closed shape, it's got the same shape, but yeah, again, we could have a discussion about, whether that's an orange or, a fuzzy ball or whatever it is, but it's definitely got a different character, hasn't it? And all of this stands to reason, really, because, again, from the moment a child is born, we put a crayon in its hand and we show it all those cards. We're training it from the moment it can sit upright. We're training it to associate certain shapes with certain things, so that they're learning the visual vocabulary of our culture. And I'd love to, I'm too old for it now, but I'd love to have been able to do some sort of research project that works out, are children born with this, or is it something that we very strongly teach them in this culture? And I think it's probably a mixture of the two. But when you're making a drawing, if you're finding it emotionally unsatisfying, very often it's because you haven't closed the shape, and you have that feeling, oh, I haven't quite got it right. Because this identifying a closed shape that you associate with a line is all part of your primal recognition system. And every time you identify a closed shape, there's a little endorphin reward. That's part of the thing that makes you feel pleasure when you're identifying these shapes. A dog doesn't do it. So you show a picture of a dog treat to a dog, he'll just look at you and he'll go, it's a piece of paper, can I have a treat now? Won't he? A dog hasn't got the same recognition system, but all of us, every human being across the planet, loves to play the game because there's a little endorphin reward for identifying shapes, closed shapes, and matching them up to reality. So that's your first step of how to get really good at drawing without ever improving your drawing, is pay attention to closed shapes. And if you're doing first steps in pen and ink, which is available on my website, www.deborahkaneart.com, if you're doing that course, you'll then go on to, we'll add other things to this little piece of theory. Please do like and subscribe. I think that's what I'm supposed to say on YouTube, isn't it? Do like and subscribe, please, if you like. I can't guarantee I'll be offering you a video every single week at the moment, because we're just loading up. I'm just making up all the videos to support the classes. But thank you for watching, and there'll be more little videos with helpful little tips like this coming up. Thank you. Bye.